External Scholarship Aid Search by Ms. Shamina. Good morning, my name is Shamina McCaskey. Please address me as Ms. Shamina. I'm excited to share with you some knowledge on finding scholarships and applying for financial aid. A few things about me. I'm currently a sophomore at the University of Arizona. I've been working at the University of Arizona's Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid and Student Services for 2 years. Me and my team work to assist students in receiving financial aid, as well as helping students apply for federal aid. Today we will be discussing how to find and apply for external scholarship aid. Without further ado, I present to you external scholarship aid. Introduction to financial aid. Types of aid. Step 1. Apply for federal student aid via FAFSA. Federal aid includes Pell Grant, Arizona Promise Grant, Arizona Assurance Program, and federal student loans. Step 2. Apply for other applicable opportunities, federal and non-federal. That would include merit scholarships at your chosen university, Arizona Native Scholars Grant, Earn to Learn, and employer tuition reimbursement. Step 3. Apply for external scholarship aid. Applying for financial aid is a process that is recommended for students who plan on attending a higher education institution such as college, university, or trade schools. Through this process, students are able to receive funding for their higher education. Types of aid include federally funded aid, such as grants and those scholarships that you can receive, as well as third-party donors from additional scholarships. External scholarship aid is so important because it is completely free and it helps to supplement the remaining portion of your financial costs if needed. So just like grant aid, it does not need to be paid back, and it can be used to pay for institution housing costs while you're in college, such as school supplies, housing, etc. Finding scholarships. Scholarship portals from chosen institution look for sources that are provided by your school or university. So the first tip for finding scholarships is to reach out to your institution of choice. So whether it be community college or a bigger university, you want to make sure that you go ahead and contact their financial aid office to be provided with their scholarship resources. So often these universities will have a scholarship portal. For example, I work at the Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid for the University of Arizona, and we provide Scholarship Universe to the students, which is an excellent resource for finding scholarships that are reliable. Next, you want to look at local scholarships from businesses. So this would be reaching out in person or via email if you're unable to find information online. So there are many sources on the internet for finding scholarships. However, when looking for local scholarships, you want to make sure that you are specifically looking for anything that targets your demographic. So that would be the location that you live in. Example, if you live in Coolidge, looking for local scholarships would be essentially searching up those businesses on the web to see if they have any sort of aid. So one of my tips for that is what I personally like to do is I like to go to Google and I simply Google the businesses in my area, and that would help me kind of get an idea of some options where I could begin searching for local scholarships. Then next, you want to research websites. Check reviews, and if you're unsure, check with your financial aid department at your chosen university. You also want to make sure to look out for scams. So any prepaid scholarship pages or scholarships that cost money to apply can be a really red flag when you are searching for scholarships. Wording or catchphrases such as 100% turnover rate or guaranteed scholarships are often catchphrases used to scam students into applying for this financial aid that you generally have to pay for. So when looking for these pages for scholarships, you want to make sure that they're the ones investing in your future by providing you with free scholarship opportunities instead of asking for some sort of payment for a scholarship. It's best to check reviews and reach out to see if anyone has been awarded a scholarship in the past from this website or from any of the scholarships that you find. Often scholarship donors for specific scholarships will usually have some sort of history with the award that they've given to students. Even scholarship websites, there is some sort of history of a student that's been awarded that scholarship. So that would be something really good to look at. Once you've gone ahead and searched for local scholarships, as well as worked with your advisor to contact local businesses for scholarships, you want to go ahead and search for scholarships in the Arizona area and find ones that apply to your case. So if you're a low-income student, you can look for scholarships that are for low-income students in the Arizona area. That is a really good example of how a scholarship could be applied to Arizona students. Sometimes when looking through scholarship portals, you'll come across specific scholarships that you may believe you're eligible for. However, they may target a certain demographic and a location. So one example of that would be a state scholarship. Scholarships for high school Arizona graduates of a high school in Arizona would be another example of a scholarship specific to Arizona students. I've also gone ahead and linked below scholarships for Arizona students specifically. And towards the end of this presentation, I have a QR code with these links attached. So if you do want to go ahead and begin searching for scholarships in the Arizona area, that source is also provided in this presentation. Tips and tricks. The first tip when looking for scholarships is to start small. Big scholarships often offer higher award amounts, however, they may be more competitive. There may be more students who apply to these scholarships with higher amounts of money in the hopes of receiving the award. However, you do want to consider the limited supply of aid for specific scholarships, as well as there may be an increased amount of students applying, making it more difficult to be awarded this aid. So yes, it is a good idea to apply to scholarships with a high amount. However, sometimes it is more convenient, as well as it's easier to be awarded smaller scholarships or grant aid that you slowly build up in order to receive a bigger award. So a lot of the times, students, from what I see, are often applying for scholarships that have really big amounts, and there's a lot of applicants, and it's really hard to kind of be able to be awarded that award because of the amount of competition. However, I see a lot of students often overlook smaller grant money or smaller scholarship award amounts, and it makes the competition a little bit less daunting when you're applying for scholarships in the beginning, and it also makes it more likely that you'll be awarded this aid. So that's one really good method to go about applying for scholarships so that you can build up the award amount that you receive from them. Then the next thing you want to do is showcase your talents and skills. So oftentimes there will be scholarships that you'll see that are targeted to a specific group who has like specific interests. And if you do have any specific interests or any creative hobbies, any community service, any of those specific talents or skills that you can offer, if you're able to find scholarships for them, these award amounts are usually more tailored to students. So instead of having to compete with a large pool of students, you're only competing within students who meet that criteria for that talent or that skill. They may be smaller award amounts, however, they do provide a really good opportunity for you to be selected for the award. So an example of this is a student interested in cycling. Arizona provides the single track Arizona Riders Foundation Scholarship, which is a scholarship tailored to students who are interested in track, as well as cycling. Cycling is like the track cycling with like bicycles, and that would be tailored to the students who have that interest or that talent. So that's a really good opportunity to kind of hone in on your individuality when looking for scholarships. Next, as previously mentioned, look for scholarships that are tailored to you. So any scholarships that are tailored to you would include anything that applies to your case. So if you have any achievements, like academic achievements, sports achievements, any sort of talent or skill that you can present, as well as any sort of demographic data, that would be really good when looking for a scholarship that meets the criteria for your needs. So for example, I am a student who's majoring in psychology. A scholarship tailored to me would look something like a scholarship tailored to a psychology department or a student pursuing an undergraduate degree in psychology. So that could be anywhere in the field of counseling, therapy. If you're interested in neuroscience, that would be a great thing for that scholarship. However, you do want to make sure that you're meeting the requirements. So for example, I have here listed things like academic, sports achievement. So if you do have any of those specific achievements in high school that you would like to apply to scholarships for, that would be a great way to go ahead and do that as well. Lastly, connect with others. Connecting with others within your community is another great way to find scholarships, specifically ones that would meet your needs. So anything like reaching out to your community, local churches or clubs that you may be affiliated with, that's a really great opportunity to look for scholarships in your area. You could also, if you have a parent who works, you could check with their employer to see if they provide tuition reimbursement or any sort of company scholarship benefits to the parent or to children of the workers. The next thing is putting together your profile. So as mentioned, scholarship portals generally have some sort of filter or profile that needs to be completed in order for you to have these scholarships sorted into your account so that you can apply for them. When putting together a profile, make sure to include any extracurricular activities or sports that you've participated in. This can be school or non-school affiliated. You can also include a resume if applicable, and a paragraph introducing yourself and what you hope to accomplish in college or with your career goals and community service. You want to ensure that it looks professional and neat. So when applying for aid, some websites require you to have a complete profile. This is a really good benefit because informing the donor of basic information about yourself can kind of help them find the person best suited for a scholarship. Sometimes when applying for aid, donors check to ensure the student they plan on awarding the grant to or the scholarship to is a good candidate. While it's not necessary, it may be beneficial in order to help give you some credentials to make you a good candidate for the award. And then once you graduate, you may want to include the updated education profile stating that you've graduated from high school, and this could be updated anytime. Having a well put together profile makes a candidate selection easier for a scholarship donor, and it's very important to have this completed. Examples. Here are some examples of a good profile as well as a bad profile, or one that is not ideal when applying for scholarships. On the left, we see the application that is not ideal when applying for scholarships. The letters are chunked together, there's no profile picture included, as well as it may be a little bit more difficult for the donors to sort through. There's missing information with an incomplete resume or a missing resume. And as you can see on the left, it is a bit chunked together and a little bit more difficult for donors to kind of understand. On the right, you see a well put together example. So this contains the profile picture as well as it's very well sorted together. So the necessary information is present, things like work experience, academic history, accomplishments, as well as any interests that apply to the student. This is very clean and it's very easy for donors to look at. Continuing, we have applying for aid. When applying for scholarships, you want to first select several scholarships to apply to at a time. Usually once you go through the process of filtering through scholarships and putting together your profile, you'll be matched with scholarships that meet your criteria or your needs. You want to go through those scholarships and select several scholarships that you want to apply to. Some of my tips for doing that is I like to sort together similar scholarships that have similar essay topics or requirements. I also like to prioritize based on date that the scholarship is due, as well as scholarships that are best fit for me. So that would be scholarships that I have like the strongest topic for, or that are easiest for me to write, that I know I can do a good job on. Once you go through the process of sorting through those scholarships and prioritizing which ones should be completed first, as well as which ones that you have the strongest topic for, you can then go ahead and complete the application and submit the application by the deadline. I recommend that you don't overwhelm yourself and you focus on the quality of the work rather than the quantity of the scholarships you apply to. This aid is not guaranteed, however, you must be selected and awarded the scholarship, so it is best to submit good quality work so that the donors have a better chance of selecting your candidate to be awarded this scholarship. You want to prioritize those deadlines for scholarships that are coming up first, as well as you want to prioritize the scholarships that you can complete within a shorter period of time. Grouping together similar scholarships also makes the application process easier because it keeps you organized and focused with your topics during the application process. Essay tips and tricks. When writing essays for these scholarships, keep in mind that the donors are usually reading these applications. So you do want to stay as focused as possible in your essays, and you want to ensure that when you're answering questions that you take a clear and focused approach. I recommend brainstorming, organizing the essay beforehand in a clear order and format before you begin writing. You want to ensure the main points are addressed. So if there's a specific topic for the scholarship, you want to ensure that that's addressed specifically when writing this essay. And you also want to have well-developed examples that may include experiences, quotes, and you want to connect those examples back to the main point to give the essay a cleaner feel and to also make it easier to read. You also want to keep in mind to check the word count, formatting, and any spelling or grammar errors, just to make sure that you are following the appropriate format that's recommended for the scholarship. Here are some resources for scholarships. I've provided a QR code below that can be scanned for students to have access to scholarship resources. I've also gone ahead and linked the scholarships mentioned in this program to the resources page. However, they also are included in the QR code. The last two examples are examples of independent donor scholarships through a company, and they're really good examples of reliable sources found for independent scholarships. I've also gone ahead and linked scholarships for April 2025 that are open to students now to go ahead and begin applying for. Credits. Firstly, I would like to thank the Coolidge Public Library for providing me with this opportunity to provide scholarship information to students. I would also like to thank the University of Arizona's Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid, as well as give credit to the scholarships mentioned in this presentation. So all scholarships that are provided are open to eligible students if you would like to apply. Again, there's also a QR code for any of these scholarships that you can go ahead and look at and apply for. Thank you so much for viewing this presentation. I hope the information provided was very helpful, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.